lifted up. We are lifted up higher. Love in the words I say, peace in the world I make, God in every breath I take, joy in my day, joy in my day. We are lifted up. We are lifted up. We are lifted up higher. We are lifted up. We are lifted up. We are lifted up higher. We are lifted up. We are lifted up. We are lifted up higher. We are lifted up. We are lifted up. We are lifted up higher.
Thank you. That was so pretty. Great way to start the morning. And I want to thank our musicians. We have Park Peters on the piano. We have Donalyn Watley as our singer today. And John Darling is on the drums. And I just want to thank him for being here today. And Penny Ware is going to be giving us our prayer soon. And if you would like to pray with her after the service, she'd be happy to do that with you. Or you can fill out a prayer request and put it in the prayer box in the back. The chaplains will all pray for you. And then it goes on to Silent Unity, and they will pray for another 30 days. So we'd be happy to do that. I'm Lori Smith. I'm the spiritual leader here. And I want to thank you all for being here. It's such a beautiful day. I know there's a million things you could be doing, but thank you for being here, because I truly believe that it is your love, your energy, your spirit that makes this church so special. So thank you for being here. So join me in our statement of faith. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. And
Surely the presence of God is in this place. As you focus on your breathing, just allow yourself to focus on peace. I breathe in peace. I breathe out peace. I call on the imagination, my power of power, the power of order, and the power of understanding for peace. I allow myself to release any apprehension, any worry, any preoccupation with what's going on. The power to imagine peace. I am surrounded and uplifted by peace. I have the power of power because I know that I am part of the solution. I have the power of order because I realize that everything is as it's supposed to be. I have the power of understanding because I see beneath the layers that are so complex. And every moment, 24/7, my loving thoughts, words, and actions contribute to world peace. Peace runs deep in my soul, expresses as love, which is the very essence of who I am. We are all made in the image and the likeness of God. And this inner source is a foundation of love in my heart. And through this foundation of love, I build peace in my life. And I extend that peace to everyone in my circle and beyond. I am compassionate. I am accepting. And I invite others to be this way as they are in my presence. World peace. World peace. World peace begins with me. I live in the awareness that all people are divine. All people deserve my respect. And I allow them to be the channel to express themselves. Everybody in the world is my neighbor. We may not look alike. We may not talk the same. We may have different beliefs. But diversity is what is so beautiful and what fills this world. And I am at peace with that. I am at peace. So I breathe in peace. I breathe out peace. And just know that I am, and that we are the loving, beautiful, peaceful children of the most beloved. And I give thanks for that. Amen.
dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. Down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. Surrendering in love. Surrendering in love.
Thank you. That was pretty. So today I wanted to let you know, once a month we usually try to have a different speaker come in just to give everybody a different perspective. So today it's actually by recording, so to be on our monitor, but it's by Reverend Darlene Strickland. And I'll tell you a little bit about her. I really like her. I often just go on YouTube to watch her because I like her sermons, but she is an ordained unity minister who brings spiritually integrative perspectives. So she likes to look at different interfaith, indigenous, mystical, New Thought traditions is kind of her background. And she is a senior minister at Unity of the Blue Ridge and the regional board president at Southeastern Unity Ministries. She was ordained in 2004, so she's been doing this a little while. She's served in ministries in Kansas, Hawaii, and Washington State. And when she's not speaking or teaching or contemplating the mysteries of life, she says she can be found tending her garden, experimenting in the kitchen, or hiking the Blue Ridge Mountains. So that's a little bit about who will be doing the talk today. She's really amazing. And I listened to this one talk, and I wanted to use this particular one because I think it has a really great message. And the bottom line is that God can do more. God cannot do more for you than God can do through you. So you just kind of have to think about that for a minute. It's us working with God that really makes things happen. So she's going to talk about a little bit about Reverend Eric Butterworth's teachings, and that's where that saying came from. It's out of his spiritual economics book. And she says, as we cooperate with God in the creative process, serving as channels for divine spirit, divine guidance flows through our consciousness, our faith, and into our visions. Our awareness and gratitude for the good that is already present in our lives are the key factors in determining what we bring forth into our own experience.
God can do no more for you than God can do through you. I heard those words, read those words the first time I picked up this book by Eric Butterworth, which Beth read from today, because those words are in this book. God can do no more for you than God can do through you. And it's underlined, and those pages are tattered and torn and almost falling out, because I had a falling out when I heard that with that. Because there's reasons and cases where you can come up with that it sounds like that's not true. And so I've realized that anytime something like that gets, as my grandfather would say, what you got stuck in your crawl? If it gets stuck in your crawl, if it just won't, if it's just there, then there's a gift to be found, right? There's something that can be learned from it. And so I really began to take that and work with it. And over the years, I've come to have it unfold in my understanding in many different layers. And so today I want us to look at that together. God can do no more for you than God can do through you. We begin with a true story of a couple who met in the early 1900s in Winnipeg, Canada. Wilfred and May are their names. Wilfred and May, when they had their second child living in Winnipeg, Canada, they decided to go back to England where May was from, because May's father, he did pretty well. He owned a hotel in England in the early 1900s, and so they took the little children and they went to England where they stayed with her parents for a while, and May worked in the hotel. Her husband, Wilfred, got work, and they were able to have some help taking care of their little children. They were able to save up some money, because what they really wanted to do, by now it's like 1920s, they wanted to come to America. And so they were able to save enough, and May and Wilfred did come to America. They came to California. They landed in California where they would have 3 children and begin to raise their family. And along the way, somewhere between Canada and California, May discovered the writings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. She learned about this thing called unity. And she was intrigued, and she called herself a student of truth. And so she began to read everything she could, and she began to put these things into practice because she was having some challenges. When May and Wilfred were in California, and they were now way away from family, trying to take care of all the children, trying to make a living. And her husband, though he had an incredibly good heart, he also had some challenges with addiction. And so at times he would drink a little too much, and his real addiction was to gambling. And although he was a good gambler, and at times that worked, there were times it really did not work. And so it left May, at times, he would literally lose it all. They had to move more than once because they literally lost the house. Well, there came a time they were in New York, they were in California, in Los Angeles, renting a place, and he made a big gamble, took a big gamble, and lost everything. and started drinking and just disappeared for months on end. And so it left May at home with the 3 children. What are we going to do? By now, May has really been studying these new ideas. She's hearing these spiritual ideas. And so one thing that stuck into her, she remembered, is pray and move your feet. Pray and move your feet. They got the eviction notice. They were having to move out of the place. And so here she is with 3 little children, no real way to take care of them. Everything's running out. Pray and move your feet. She took it literal. She started walking around the neighborhood, praying and move her feet. I'm not sure that that's exactly what it means, but that's what she started doing. And she would walk a little further and further, and she found a really nice neighborhood several blocks over, really nice houses. But as she walked every day, she noticed one of the homes had a for sale sign. But the yard was overgrown, the grass was tall, you could tell by the front porch it needed work. And so for a few weeks as she walked, she'd venture by that house and she kept seeing the for sale sign and the look. And one day when she was praying, she had an idea. An idea popped in that said, call the number and ask if you can make a deal. Call the number, ask if you can move in rent-free, and you and your children will fix the place up. You'll turn it into a home. It'll be able to sell. Good idea. And just pause for a moment and think about in your life. Have you ever been in a place where this good idea drops in, and then what's the very next thing that happens? Oh, they won't do that. How are we going to fix it up? That doesn't make any sense at all. And look at this neighborhood. We've never lived in a neighborhood like this. But she was praying and asking and literally walking. And so she did not let those thoughts. May said, yes, I had those thoughts, but it didn't let them stop me. So when she could get to a phone, she called that number. She met with a couple. She brought her children with her. And she said, sir, I want to talk to you about your home. And he said, I'm so excited. We really want to sell this. And she said, well, let me be honest. I have no money. And he looked at her and he said, but I have a proposition. She said, I've noticed this home is quite beautiful, and for years, my father owns a hotel. I worked in a hotel. I know how to care for things. And look at my children. I have 2 boys here that could help get this yard cleared up. So they struck a deal where she was allowed to stay there for X number of months, and in exchange, they would fix it up so that it would be sold. So her first problem is solved. Now she's finally at least got a bed, a place for her children to stay. They managed to get all their belongings there, and they're moving in. And Wilford Jr., the oldest son, talked quite a bit about watching his mother. She read Unity's Daily Word magazine. She would pray. He said she would bless the food. Even if we just had milk and bread, she was happy and blessed it. I never saw her complain. And there were times when we literally had no food, but we drank the water and we blessed it and we went to bed with growling stomachs. He said it was really hard sometimes, the oldest son. And he said after we moved in, we got everything moved in, we literally had no food, but we moved in. The owner of the place provided some equipment, and so we spent that first day working in that yard and cleaning up. We worked really hard. And so by the time dinner time rolled around, our mother said, children, go wash up. Go wash up, and let's head in the kitchen because it's supper time. And he said, Wilford Jr. remember thinking, yeah, it is supper time, but there's no supper around here. But he knew better than to talk back. They washed up. The 3 kids and the mom come and they sit down at the table. And the mother says, we're going to bless food. And Wilford Jr. spoke up and said, why were we blessing food? There is no food. There's nothing to be thankful for. And she looked at him and said, son, sometimes you can't see something to be thankful for, but there's always something to be thankful from. And she said, so close your eyes. And they closed their eyes and began to pray. And she said something like this, we give thanks from the awareness and the truth that there's one power and one presence, God. And that God lives in us and moves in us, and that God knows that we have needs. We give thanks from the awareness that when we ask, we prepare our hearts to receive. We give thanks for the awareness that there is an abundance of food in this universe. There is an abundance of resources in this universe. And we give thanks that we have the capacity to learn how to be channels for that good. You see, the prayer she was praying from an awareness of. And Wilford Jr. said he listened, they prayed, and he said no sooner than she finished that prayer, a knock on the door. And all of them went to the door. He said, we opened the door, and I have never in my life, there stood servants in black and white uniforms holding trays of appetizers, all kinds of food. The neighbors in the next house had had a big party that day. They had noticed this new family out working all day. And so they sent their hired caterers over to say, tell them we'll come over and meet them. We're our new neighbors. We want to welcome them, but we have all this food left. Could they possibly use it? They must be tired today. And the little boy said, I never in my life had an hors d'oeuvre, but that night we had a feast. May would go on to become a Unity minister. Her son, Wilford Eric Butterworth, would come on to write this book and many other books. He became the head of the YOU, the Youth of Unity. He served as a minister of Unity churches for over 50 years. He held Unity churches in Carnegie Hall and Avery Place for over 2,000 in attendance. And some of you were in his congregation. If you've been in Eric's Butterworth congregation, would you please stand? There's Sonny, two of them have. So you can talk to them and they can probably verify this story because he told this story quite a bit. That is Eric Butterworth. He died in 2003. I entered the seminary in 2002, and so I had the opportunity to meet him in the late 1990s. An incredible, incredible man. And so it was Wilford Eric Jr., whose mother taught him these things, who experienced these things, experienced so many miracles, and he experienced times where there was no one that showed up. There were times he went to bed hungry, but he learned that there were far more times that something good showed up right on time. And what he learned through all of it is that God can do no more for us than God can do through us. And he spent his entire ministry teaching and speaking and writing. He's written numerous books. Spiritual Economics is just one of them. And so I want to look at some of the highlights, some of the things that he said that I think are very pertinent today. I just told you about Eric. He was born in 1916, lived till 2003, again ministered for over 50 years. Oprah Winfrey said that Eric Butterworth was one of the greatest spiritual teachers in her life, and Maya Angelou said he was the single greatest teacher in her life. If you've read his work, it's very, very life transforming, truly. So when he talks about this, God can do no more for you than God can do through you. He's emphasizing that we're not separate from this thing that we call God, that we are an expression of it, an embodiment of the life presence. He states, God is the transcendent whole of things of which you are an individualized part. He quotes scripture such as he refers to Jesus saying, remember, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. Jesus said, the Father or the source and I are one, and you are too. If you look at Christian mystics, if you look at Teresa of Avila and study her works, she had visions and saw a vision of her soul, of our inner being, like an interior castle, she called it. And that we're here to bring forth such treasure from within. In Sufism, they teach the same thing, that Rumi wrote, I looked in temples and churches and mosques, but I found the divine was where? Within my own heart. In Hinduism, the Upanishads say, thou art that the individual soul is part of the one soul. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells the student Arjuna, I am the self seated in the heart of all creation. You will find it throughout every spiritual tradition, basically, that God, the Creator, however we know it, that we are a part of it, that we're here to express it, that God can do no more for us. We're not little puppets being manipulated. We are part of a presence being activated. Does that make sense? We're here to be the embodiment. We embody this potential, this power, this presence, and that we are the place where God shows up. Eric Butterworth, Eddie Watkins Jr., who will be here, and we just sang that song a few weeks ago, I am the place where God shows up. It was Eddie Watkins Jr. that wrote, we are the place where God shows up. He's inspired so many songs and writers. When he talks about the concept, God can do no more for us than God can do through us, it's a concept of cooperating. A lot of people use the word co-creating. I prefer cooperating. I don't know why, but I just do, because we're operating with the creative presence that is what it is. And through that, we're creating with our mind, our thoughts, our actions. Again, this is an interfaith. You'll find it in every tradition. Buddhism calls it right action. That there is a presence, a power we have access to, but it's up to us to express it through right action. Judaism has a principle called tikkun olam, which means that we are here repairing the world. We're the ones remembering. We are the hands and feet putting it all back together. Christianity, in the Epistle of James, it says faith without works is what? Dead. That we are the place where God shows up, and God can do no more for us than God can do through us. So just pause for a moment. Right now, you are in cooperation with this presence through your breath and your heartbeat. God is breathing you. God is animating you. Inspiration. Amy talked about feeling the urge to buy a dollhouse. The inspiration led to this, led to that, led to this. Whatever we're praying for, it's going to come through us at some level. The level may be an idea. The level may be your willingness. The level may be that you're the one that shows up to receive the gift and then to be a steward of the gift. You may be the person who is guided to take a step, and that is how God is showing up. This presence is always healing our body. If you cut your hand or scrape your knee, it begins to heal naturally. We're working in dynamic cooperation at all times with this healing presence. It guides us through intuition. Jill Haney, who's here, who's worked on our prayer wall and is soon getting ready to start on an inside wall, receives a lot of her guidance very clearly in dreams. Different people receive it different ways. Now, it's important for you to know if you're one of those people that say, I have never, ever received anything that resembles the voice of God. I know there are some of you out there because you've told me that. And I get it. And the thing is, we receive our guidance and our inspiration in different ways. So I'm going to give you 4 ways in just a few minutes that I promise you, if you engage these, you'll begin to find what is your way that you connect. And so when we begin to think about this, that God can do no more for us than God can do through us, then consciousness becomes key. Eric Butterworth, in his teachings of this concept that consciousness is key, that where we are in consciousness determines what we experience. The best example, the best true story I can give you that I know firsthand is from Michael Beckwith. I've told this many times, and I hope all of you know it well enough to tell it because it needs to be told and retold. Dr. Michael Beckwith is the minister of the Agape Spiritual Center in California. He's also was for a time the spiritual coach for Oprah Winfrey. He's a highly recognized individual, very big, thriving church. And so early in the year, one year, Michael and their ministry team said, this fall, now they're announcing this beginning of the year, this fall, our ministry is going to sponsor a cruise where people can come and experience this spirituality on a cruise. When he announced it that first Sunday, he said immediately after the service, a woman came up to him and said, Dr. Michael, I am going to be on that cruise. I want to go on that cruise, and I need to know if you have any sponsorships. I don't have the money, but I know I'm supposed to go on the cruise. And he said, okay, so it's the beginning of the year. The cruise is not until October, and we can put you on that list, so I hear you want to go. She said, yeah, I have to go. I just feel it. But I'm on a fixed income. I don't have any money, so I need for you to get me a sponsorship. And he said, so let's just wait a minute. So you're telling me that 10 months from now, you still won't have any money, and you're saying I need to get you a sponsorship. And she said, that's correct, because I live on a fixed income, nothing's going to change, but I know I have to go, so can you please help me get a sponsorship? He looked at her and he said, if I did that, it would violate everything I believe in. But what I can do is partner you with one of our spiritual practitioners, and let's begin to work on your beliefs. What is it within you that is causing you to believe that nothing can change in 10 months? He said, I can't hold the beliefs for you that you're holding for yourself. You're asking me to come into an agreement with you that I don't agree with, because I see you as somebody who is an open channel for the divine. I see you as somebody who has gifts that you may not even recognize. I see you as somebody who really is being guided to do this. And perhaps your biggest blessing is you need to realize that you have the capacity to create and generate and be more than you currently know yourself to be. So, if you would work with a practitioner, let's meet again in a few months. And she said, I'll do it. He signed her up with a practitioner, which is like one of our prayer chaplains. After a few weeks, a couple of months go by, she went to the bookstore one Sunday morning before church. And she said, I'm here to buy not one, but 2 tickets for the cruise. I had this idea that came to me, and I followed through on the idea. And can you believe that it generated enough money that not only can I pay for mine, I feel guided to pay it forward for somebody else. That, my friends, is what we're talking about when we say abundance and consciousness is the key to divine expression, that whatever it is in our life, first of all, it begins in consciousness. Eric Butterworth would often tell this story, the scripture that comes from Matthew that says, to those who have, more will be given, but to those who have not, even what they have will be taken away. Matthew 13:12. Let me read it again. To those who have, more will be given. To those who have not, even what they have will be taken away. That's one of those scriptures that make you want to throw the Bible down and say, yuck, blech. Because it looks like it's unjust or it's excluding people. But that's when you have to realize that this is written speaking to the soul. These are words of spirit. This is a message for your consciousness. Eric said it's not moral judgment, but it's a statement of the law of consciousness. When Jesus said to those who have, he wasn't speaking of material wealth. He was speaking of those who have a consciousness of recognition, a consciousness of a possession, that they have inner resources, wholeness, they have access, that those who have live in a receptive flow. But those who have not live in a consciousness of lack or fear or resentment or separation. So even what they have access to they miss out on because they're blind to it. They lose it. They don't even know what they have. When you begin to look at it that level, it begins to make sense. The Tao Te Ching says it this way: when you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. So how does this begin to work in consciousness? Well, here's a story of a mother who was a single mother, had a desire to open a bakery. But she had a full-time job. It was all she could do to take care of her family, but she just had this strong desire to open a bakery. Well, one day down at the corner gas station, she saw a taco truck, and an idea popped in. Well, if a taco truck could be there, I wonder if a cupcake table could be there. So she went and talked to the owner of the gas station. He said, sure, the more the better. So she got her kids to help her, and they made a whole bunch of cupcakes and signs. And so the next Saturday, they went out, and guess what? She sold every cupcake she made. And so for a while, she started doing that. They did it as a family. It was Cupcake Saturday. And they went out, and she made up some business cards. And do you know, today that woman owns a bakery, but it started with a cupcake table at a gas station beside a taco truck because she had a desire, and that desire was this impulse of the universe to say, follow this so you can discover what you're made of. Do you see what's happening here? Develop yourself so that you can bring forth more potential. Another story looks like this. A man who had struggled and struggled and struggled with addiction. Constantly, his family, everyone begging him to do something, and he wanted help. He would get to just hit the bottom, but he would blame others. He'd try a little bit of rehab and then come out, but it was just this vicious cycle, and the family had to have tough love and said, this is it. No more, no more. It was at that point that he finally said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And he began to realize that recovery happened not when he begged harder, but when he let God guide him in his choices. Do you hear what I'm saying? God can do no more for you than God can do through you. It had to be through one day at a time, one choice at a time. That's how God was growing that man. And then the third story, a junior high school teacher noticed one of her students was withdrawing and kind of spiraling. Something was different. And so this junior high school student came up with a reason to ask that student to stay after class to help with something. And after doing that a couple of times, the young student began to open up a little bit and talk about some struggles. The teacher was able to get her with a counselor and get some help in that home. You see, God's answer to that student's struggling didn't come through a lightning flash. It came because someone felt it on their heart that student needs something and you can do something. That we are the place that God shows up, each and every one of us, and God is calling somebody right now. Jason and the band, would you come on up? God can do no more for you than God can do through you. Let's talk about 4 things that everybody can do. Number 1 is to make a practice of your I ams and your I haves. That every day noticing what you're saying you have and what you are. To say, I have love. If you want more life, if you need more love in your life, then to begin saying, I have love. And I am love. And I'm a loving person. I'm worthy of love. If you need more patience or more peace or more abundance, whatever it is, you begin to say, I have. And notice what you already do have. And I am capable of these things. This is what we call a conscious conditioner. It's like priming the pump of your soul to move out those beliefs, just like the woman had on the cruise, to move out those beliefs that say, no, I live in these fixed limitations. No, I am and I have. So I begin with I am and I have. Pay attention. Number 2, make a proof list. I'm going to challenge you, if there's something you want more of in your life, more love, more patience, more peace, more abundance, more beauty, more inspiration, more energy, more wholeness, whatever you want more of in your life, make a proof list. Every day, sit down and come up with at least 5 proofs, 5 ways it's already showing up. You were able to find a parking spot. That's a miracle some days. That's proof in abundance. You actually enjoyed a few moments of laughter. That's proof of joy. You shared a meal with a friend and enjoyed it. That's proof of connection. Come up with proof. It's there. When you recognize it, it begins to expand. You can more easily recognize it. So number 1, I am, I have. Number 2, make your proof list. And number 3 is to give freely. Especially whatever it is that you feel that is lacking. If you feel that you're not getting enough appreciation, then give more praise. Give more compliments. Give more moments of connection to tell someone, not just to say it, to check it off a list, but to stop and pause and to say, John, I really appreciate your willingness to take over that co-leader role for our Habitat team. I really appreciate that. Whatever it is that you're seeking, give it back freely. Jesus blessed the woman the widow, when he said, blessed is the widow. Those words alone to his audience were revolutionary because they thought, cursed is the widow. And the rabbi just said, blessed is a widow. Yes, blessed is the widow who gave one little penny. They're like, she's cursed and she has nothing but a penny. No. All people are blessed, and she knows she's blessed. And she knows she's blessed because she knows she still makes a contribution. She takes care of the babies in the village. She's a mentor to a lot of mothers. She does this, she does that. She has something to give, and she's blessed because she knows it. You see, to be able to give freely, it's not about the amount. It's about you putting into expression knowing that you have to give. So we begin with I am, I have. We start looking for proof. And if you really want to work the challenge, write it down. Number 3 is to begin to give that which you want more of, that which you appreciate, that which you're thankful for. And number 4 is to appreciate, to pause and to give thanks.
I think that was pretty great advice. And so I want to just take these words of her talk and we'll go into a meditation. I'd like you just to relax in your chair. You can rest your eyes if you'd like to. Just breathe in a few deep breaths. And with each exhalation, release any tension, concerns, any negative thoughts. Just breathe gently and easily, noticing the rhythm of your breath. We quiet our minds and become still. Allow this feeling of peace and comfort to relax every muscle in your body. Turning within to that sacred space where we are centered in spirit. We move our thoughts into a holy, sacred space, feeling the power and the presence of divine spirit that dwells everywhere, within everything, and expresses through you. Affirming that we are one with the universe, in which there is abundance for every living creature. Allow a vision that lifts your heart and spirit to come to mind. hold space to bring that which is emerging into your life. See yourself smiling, radiating love and light, and embodying your divine identity to do what you are being called to do. Trusting your soul that softly whispers what is next. Hold that vision and feel the positive energy flow through you. Divine Spirit is always present, blessing us with all that we need. I accept these blessings, and I freely share them with my brothers and my sisters, creating a flow of goodwill and harmony that moves through all of life. For we are never separate from Divine Spirit, nature, or one another. As we listen for this still small voice in the silence, I behold the good that is present in my life. I am grateful. Gently come back to this space. Just hear the sounds in the room. Gently moving your hands and feet. Open your eyes when you are ready. Divine Spirit, we are so grateful for the many blessings received in our lives and within our community. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
So now is our time for our offertory, and there are many ways to give to Unity on the Avenue. We do have a plate for checks or cash. We have a square in the back for cards, or if you have our newsletter, you can always go online and donate that way too. And just know how much we appreciate all that you give to Unity on the Avenue. And we use that in many ways just to cover the costs of our sanctuary, but we also give to nonprofits and we help them out each month. So I just want to thank you for that, all that you give. I know in time many of you come and help out at the church too, and I thank you very much for all of that. So join me in our blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
I hear the music down in my soul. I hear the music down in my soul.
down in my soul. I got a new day down in my soul. Every day is a new day, yeah, down in my soul. I know it is, and the whole wide world is my home. I love the silence down in my soul. I love the silence down in my soul. I love the silence down in my soul. And the whole wide world is my home. I feel the power
I feel the power
down in my soul.
in my soul.
I feel the power down in my soul.
Down in my soul.
I feel the power.
I feel the power
down in my soul. And the whole wide world is my home. And the whole wide world is my home.
You. I could feel that down in my soul. I hope you did too. That was great. Thank you. So that leads us to our prayer for protection. So please join me. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.